Welcome back to Cowpert Bros. Jason and I are fresh off the first segment discussing the Highland Park tragedy. I really don't want to reduce it to a shooting because that really puts a lot of focus on the scumbag. It's a tragedy in every sense of the word. In our second segment, we're going to be covering something that I feel like we've already talked about, at least when it first kicked off. And that's Elon Musk and Twitter. You know, for a guy, maybe he's just big into window shopping. I don't know what it is, Jay.
You just a window shopper. Mad at me.
I think you know why. That was good. So Elon Musk literally, pardon my French, he kind of cock teased this thing for about a good, 2-3 months about potentially buying Twitter, or Twitty would have been hilarious, for what was it, 44 billion or something outrageous like that.
That's exactly what it was. 44 billion with a B, folks. A B.
And so there's been a whole bunch of gallivanting the last 2 or 3 months about potential changes that might happen and all of that. And we end up with a whimper. He's not even buying the damn thing. He left Twitter at the altar.
Well, not yet. We'll talk about that, but he still might be stuck in the bonnet. That's not decided yet, so we'll see.
I mean, here, Jason, don't bury the lead. What really happened is Twitter kind of got tired of getting their chain jerked around. I mean, you're kind of playing with the organization. If you're at the auction and you're not for real, you're not about it. Like if he wasn't for really interested in buying Twitter, why the hell did he tease this for almost 3 months? Have you heard of any legitimate reasons why Elon Musk is not going to follow through with this buy?
Yes.
Go ahead. I'd like to hear some.
Well, let me back up. Because there's a word you threw in there, like legitimate reasons. So I guess my question is, have you heard reasons that he's backing out, but you don't think they're legitimate?
No, I don't think they're legitimate. But I would like you on behalf of the podcast to lay out the reasons he said he wasn't going to do it.
No. I want to know what you heard first before I go into that, because they're probably the same thing.
Oh, he was trying to allege that they were inflating the user count because he was saying, oh, it's way too many bots on the platform. And I'm like, hell, Elon, I've been on Twitter at least 10 years. Where the hell you been? It's hella spam accounts.
Okay, so that, yes, is the primary reason. Factually, like you just said, he's not wrong. So he's not incorrect, but that's also social media, period. You know, as the guy who pretty much runs most of the social media for the Cowboy Bros, not all of it, but a lot of it, you definitely see all the bots pretty much on every single platform, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or TikTok, doesn't matter. So he's not wrong there. But personally, so the other thing that I saw was that when he agreed to the deal to buy Twitter, the share price of Twitter, I believe at that point was like $54, somewhere around there. And since then it's dropped to $37 or some change, which may be caused by him particularly. So I'm kind of wondering, with all the stuff you've been saying about Twitter and all the tweets you've been making about this, that may have been helping drive the cost down. I'm wondering if he's doing this now to really try to save money. Like, hey, I agreed to pay this, but you're not worth that anymore. I want to back out this deal, maybe renegotiate. So from a business standpoint, that seems to make sense.
Yeah, it's still shady as hell.
Well, no one's saying that. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if Donald Trump himself calls you a BS artist, then that might say a lot there. For somebody like Donald Trump to say that, who is unfortunately considered a politician now, and obviously his reputation before that, if he's calling you that, whether it's true or not, there's something to that. So, but I'd probably say that'd be the more, and like you said, I don't know if I want to call it the legitimate reason, but like you say, your favorite word, the more viable reason as to why he would do this. Now, obviously, Twitter today announced that they're basically taking him to court and saying, hey, nope, you're not backing out of this. You had no, like you said, no legitimate reason to do this, which apparently is going to be heard in Delaware. So probably for the first time ever, things are popping in Delaware. So um, I've never been, but I'm assuming so. Could be wrong, folks. Yeah, people, if you're from Delaware, let us know. Tell me how wrong I am. Counterpartbros@gmail.com. But yeah. So, but to answer your question, I think that would probably be the most viable reason or legitimate, whatever you want to call it, as to why he would decide to do this. Because as much as a big deal was made by him on Twitter that he was buying it, it doesn't make any sense to back out of it now. Or if he's really concerned about the whole bot thing, then that probably leads to him going to another reputation he might have as being somewhat zany and quirky. So who knows?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you're going to bring up all these concerns and considerations after you put in the bid. Come on, dog.
I mean, now again, if you want to, for lack of a better term, play devil's advocate, you could say that, okay, if he wasn't doing anything to drive the price down, if it just happened to be coincidental, then from his business aspect, I would understand it, because I personally, at the current moment, I'm not a billionaire. Despite what people might think about me, I'm not, folks. This is a public admission. Jason Ross of Indiana is not a billionaire. Breaking news, I know. But if I was, I would definitely look to save money. Now, another thing that will play into that is that even if he was to somehow legally be able to get out of this, he will still have to pay $1 billion, a billion with a B, as a break-off fee, which is a lot less than 44 billion. But 1 billion still isn't cheap. And even though he has that money probably in spades, most people who are rich like that or wealthy like that don't want to lose $1 billion if they don't have to. So I still think at the end of the day, he's probably doing this to try to get a better deal. I don't know if he'll still have to pay the $1 billion or not, but I have a feeling that Delaware court's probably going to side in the favor of Twitter, more than likely. Again, not a legal expert, but just based off hunches, what I've been reading on this, I don't know if it's going to go in his favor unless he has some other legitimate reason that it's not being mentioned besides the whole bot thing. So leave it to Elon Musk to be the only guy in the history of social media to take a company to court over too many bots.
Now, Jason, you're saying that he's doing this to get a better deal. I'm saying, and a lot of other people are saying this, he's doing it to get out of the deal.
Okay, so my question to that would be, for what?
Because he had buyer's remorse. Imagine if Bezos decided, you know what, maybe buying Whole Foods was a rash decision. Now,
I see the correlation you're going there, but
he's not going to say that. Bezos is like, hey, fam, fuck with me, you know I got it. But in the case of Elon, he put almost all of his eggs in this basket. Tesla stock tanked, not tanked, but it's definitely lower than when he initiated this, right? Doesn't some of this behavior just sound erratic to you? Imagine someone saying, "Hey, I actually want to build something with another company," and then deciding to literally self-sabotage it.
Well, that is a reputation he has about being kind of, we'll say, an impulse buyer. So I will say there's some validity to that as well. But I will say this though. I know when we last talked about this in episode 55 about him making the agreement to begin with, we mentioned there was concern about what he was going to do with Twitter, not necessarily about cleaning up the bots and censorship and stuff like that, but more so what he was going to do. Because obviously when companies merge, that could mean the end of employment for a lot of people. And a lot of people who were employed with Twitter, whenever the deal was made, a lot of them had already started looking for other work because they knew that one, that was a possibility, and also knowing that he's very much an impulse kind of guy. And he might say now the jobs are safe, but the next day he could say, you know what? I changed my mind. These people from Twitter who were there from day one or whatever, peace out. I'll save money, hire new people, blah, 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 whatever. So I'm sure all this erratic stuff right now doesn't help with that, because if he goes to court, loses, and is forced to buy Twitter for the $44 million, is he then going to start doing things out of spite that he wouldn't have done before? He could say, "Oh, you know what? It's fine. Since I had to buy this company, I'm just going to do this, do that, without any type of rationale reason behind it, which could include again just firing a lot of people or just saying, you know what, I'm going to take a $44 billion loss on this. Goodbye, Twitter." Well, I know he's not going to do that part, but if he did it, would anybody say, well, that's not like him? Probably not. So I almost feel like we had to talk about this because we did talk about it before. But I almost think with anything big that Elon Musk does, now that he's a pseudo celebrity, yes, I said pseudo, folks, I think it's kind of worthy of talking about for sure. But I am definitely going to be very interested to see what happens because, again, like I said, I think he's going to get forced into buying this at the full 44 million. And
You
again,
said
not that I'm
you
hope,
said
not
you
that,
said million, but it's billion.
sorry, B folks, like I kept saying multiple times, 44 billion bucks. If it was 44 million, we probably wouldn't have this issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, 44 billion. If he's again, like I said, if he's forced into buying this at the full 44 billion with a B, I'm more interested to see what he does with the company. If he still sticks to what he said he's going to do when it comes to the whole bots and censorship stuff like that, or if it's going to be that and more when it comes to merging everything but all the employees. So,
Yeah.
more of your thoughts, sir?
It's I'm just gonna say this. It's fucking wild that somebody would behave like this after they bought something, after they made the investment. They this screams someone not doing their due diligence, which I know feels weird coming from us, but shit. He clearly has had some sort of uh, cold feet. He's treating this like it's a school uniform at the 90-day return policy.
Well, when you are a billionaire, I guess you have that money to play around with. Not that he's trying to waste money, but when you look at your bank account, you can see it there. It's kind of like, okay,
Yeah, it's
what
definitely
can
a
I
lot
do
of
today?
yeah, it's definitely a lot of churn for sure, and a whole lot of churn for nothing so far. So, yeah, I think it's a fascinating thing in terms of when companies put these provisions when they decide to accept being purchased. Um, it's no different than a marriage or some sort of stipulation stating, hey, if somebody decides to opt out at the 11th hour, well, they're not going to get all of the money back, right? So it
Right.
makes sense that provision for $1 billion is there because it effectively prevents these types of shenanigans, or dare I say, it makes it less likely. It mitigates these sorts of shenanigans because you can't prevent anything 100% of the time, but you can certainly make it less likely that someone's going to pull a fast one like this.
Well, I mean, obviously it's easy to say, but it it doesn't seem like it worked because obviously here we are. He knew that $1 billion thing was there, but again, $1 billion is still less than 44 billion, right? So which would you rather pay at this point? I'll give you a billion, but I'll keep that other 43 billion in my pocket or
Yeah,
in the
there's
bank
that,
or on
Jason. There's
SpaceX
that.
or on SpaceX, whatever.
Yeah, it's there is that, but there's also the loss of any goodwill should he attempt to initiate this type of transaction with another business in the future.
Goodwill from who?
I'm talking about other companies may not be as willing to even go down this road with him if he continues to behave like this.
Yes, they will.
I
You know
said may
why?
not. I said
You
may
know
not.
why?
I didn't
You know
say it was
why?
going to stop. Go for
You
it.
know what? You know why? $44 billion. That's why. So if any company has a chance to get that money back by selling to him, they will do it. Now, they may put more legalese in the paperwork to say, hey, ain't no backing out on this, son. Otherwise, you're going to pay a lot more than that billion the next time. So I can see that happening, but there's no way a company in general is going to say no to somebody willing to give them 44 billion bucks or more, whatever.
But they just might be like, hey, same time, same time. Right.
Exactly. But they're still going to do the deal because it's still billions of dollars at stake. Like if you wanted to buy McDonald's, just an example, not advocating for McDonald's, folks, you guys know better than that, but just saying, if McDonald's was up for sale and he said, hey, here's, for example, 50 billion bucks, are they going to say no? No. There's only so many people, as far as individually, that are going to be willing to shell out that kind of money. Right? There's only so many. So you can't be saying no to everyone that comes around. Now, granted, McDonald's might have more buying interest than Twitter, for example, but still, you get my point, right?
I hear you. All right. That concludes our segment on the buyout that wasn't. Shout out to Elon. Coming up next, we'll be talking about the most up-to-date status on Brittany Griner. Coming up next on Cal Park Bros.